Hello, folks. This is your host, Tammy Tuckey, and you are now listening to the Tiara Talk Show. We bring you rare interviews with the makers of Disney magic. Whether they be singers, actors, Imagineers, animators, they have all made their mark on the Disney name. Be sure to check out the show notes, other episodes, contests, our social media pages from Facebook to Twitter, and more on our official website at www.thetiaratalkshow.com. All guest opinions are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the opinions of the Tiara Talk Show or the host. The Tiara Talk Show is not associated with the Disney Company. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. And from all of us here at the Tiara Talk Show, have a hoop-de-doo day. I'm excited to welcome this week's Tiara Talk Show guest, singer Olmo, to the show. Welcome, Allie.
Thank you, Tammy. Good to be here.
It's so great to finally talk to one of my favorite performers in all the Disney attractions. But before we get to Disney, you know, as I said, you are a singer, and I would love to talk about how you kind of began in the music industry. And I read online that you actually taught yourself how to play the guitar at 14 years old. So was that the inspiration to start writing songs and singing?
Yes, my sister had a boyfriend who used to come serenade her, and that's how I got interested in learning the guitar. And so he taught me a few chords and then left me on my own. So I just kept at it, and really had no dream of becoming, it was something that just sort of evolved on its own. My dream was to be a cartoonist for Disney, if you can believe that. I was an artist, and that was my thing, was that I wanted to do, but I sort of fell into music and then started sort of performing when I was in college at the University of Tampa. And from there, once I graduated, I sort of just kept going with it. I really enjoyed what I was doing, and it was just one of those things that just sort of, I just fell into. I didn't quite this is my thing that I want to do. I was performing in the Tampa area at the time, and I just decided to call Disney, and at the time the man who was in charge of all the talent was a man by the name of Bob Cross, and I just called and made an appointment to go and audition for him, and so they hired me I was sort of the relief person for 3 different venues. One was at the Gulf Resort, one was at the Polynesian Hotel, and one was at the Lake Buena Vista, which, I mean, now it's like a whole other world that exists there. But at the time, it was sort of just like a beautiful mall area that had a nice restaurant. And so one day for 3 days, I would perform in each one of those, filling in for the person who had the normal, 5-day schedule or whatever. And then eventually they gave me the slot at the Polynesian at Captain Cook's Hideaway. So I became the regular person that played there 5-6 nights a week.
And what was one of your favorite guest experiences? Because, we have a lot of cast members who come on the show. So what was the most unique experience for you at Walt Disney World?
Well, I got to meet, there was a group of college students there, and I got this incredible letter a few days after they had been there, and they wanted me to come perform at their college, which is St. Olaf's up in Minnesota. And, of course, I had no idea when I said, yes, I would come in January, how cold it would be. But it was a really wonderful experience to meet them and then get to do this concert up in their school.
And we come kind of full circle because this year's the 35th anniversary of the American Adventure attraction, which is one of my favorite attractions at EPCOT. And, even my dad will say, he's going to be listening to this episode, he just loves this specific segment in the show that is entitled Two Brothers. It has a song called Two Brothers, and it's about two brothers who are participating in the Civil War, but on opposite sides. And you were the singer for this song. It's just a beautiful, gorgeous song, and you have such a lovely voice. And I wanted to know what that audition process was for that particular song? Because it sounds like not only are you harmonizing with yourself in the song, but you are also playing the guitar that is backed up by the, I think the Philadelphia Orchestra strings. I'm not quite sure, but
correct.
Yeah, but so what was that process like for you to finally get to audition and appear in an attraction?
Well, this is a really interesting story. I did not audition. I happened to move from Tampa to Los Angeles, and I stayed with a friend while I figured out where I wanted to live in the city. And so while I was staying with her, it just so happened that she was the project manager for the American Adventure. And one day she says to me, I want you to listen to this song, and I want you to learn it and put it on a cassette for me. And I said, really? Do I have to do that? He goes, yes, just do it. So I said, okay. So I did. I recorded into a cassette, and she put it on her boss's desk. And so he said to her, who is this? Bring her in. I want to meet her. And so what it was is that they had already had a man record, I don't know who, but they had a singer, a male, record the song. And my friend thought that it would be a much more touching, poignant song if it came from a woman's point of view. And so that's what she wanted she wanted her boss to hear it with a woman singing it. And that's how it happened. And the next thing I know, I'm in the studio working with Buddy Baker, and it's like, I'm can't believe this. And it was also the very beginning of digital recording. And so this was like the first state-of-the-art theater that was being built, and this was one of the first recordings that were done with a digital process. But they recorded my voice and guitar over here at Disney Studios, and then my friend actually got to go to Philadelphia and was present when the orchestra added the strings, and did their whole the arrangement that they're playing behind it.
What was it like for you to finally sit and watch the show and hear it and see the visuals that were accompanying the song?
Oh my gosh! I couldn't believe it. I actually got to see I got invited to a little showing here. It was like they had a little mini replica of the actual theater and everything, and they had invited the Coca-Cola and American Express, if I recall correctly. They were the ones who had sponsored that pavilion. And so I got to sit in there with those head guys and listen to it. But then to actually be in the theater was like, it was kind of, I couldn't believe it. It was pretty exciting. It's funny. I used to sing at a hotel that used to cater to a lot of tourists from all over the world. So I never knew it was gonna be a room full of Australians or Germans or Japanese people, whatever. But every so often they go, I think we heard you at Disneyland. And they would come back the following night and say, did you sing at this song? Yes. Yeah. So it's very cool.
And a lot of people who grew up with Lilo and Stitch will recognize the song Aloha I Komo Mai, which is the theme song to the Lilo and Stitch TV series, which I had seen many different times because I was the neighborhood babysitter, and I loved the show, loved the theme song, and you wrote this song. It's amazing. Yeah, I was just surprised when I found out.
I co-wrote that with Danny Jacob, and so it's like, okay, what came up with this little Hawaiian rock and roll thing, and that was a lot of fun to do. And again, it's just the fact that I love animation so much and grew up watching Disney movies and wanted to be an animator. To see that. I mean, the song is on the actual Stitch the movie, there's a video, an animated video of the song. So it's like, wow, and I have this Stitch doll that is I was at Disneyland and I heard the song playing coming from somewhere in a store, and there was a Stitch doll in Hawaiian getup, dancing, and the song was inside this doll. So I said, okay, I have to have one of those.
How did you go about doing the research to have authentic Hawaiian lyrics for the song?
Well, I'm Cuban, so I speak Spanish, and I had done like I said, with Danny Jacob, I had done another project and had written a kind of a mix of an English and Spanish thing. So when he called about this, I thought, well, maybe I should go see if there's a Hawaiian dictionary in the library kind of thing. But of course, I mean, writing something literal and actually making it sense is two different things. And I'm sure I hope I didn't offend, Hawaiian people that speak, the Hawaiian language and that kind of thing. But I actually did find, and again, another fluky thing that happened. I was trying to find somebody who was Hawaiian speaking, who could tell me if I was doing this correctly, because I didn't want to be botching the language. And somebody told me to call so and so, that they had a dance studio, and that the man was Hawaiian that ran it. I called him, and it turned out to be the Ed Mook, that actually is the person who did the character in the TV show of he's the Kumahula, the dancer, the teacher of Lilo. So he's actually Hawaiian, and so I couldn't believe that this is who I was talking to on the phone when I spoke to him. And so I was telling him what I was trying to do, and so he looked at my lyrics and said, well, maybe I can, if you change this word to this one, whatever, it will work. And so that's how it all kind of happened.
Was that the nomination that you had for the Daytime Emmy regarding the song, or?
Oh, that was actually I used to write for a soap opera called Passions, and it was on the air at NBC for about 8 years. And it was the first song that I wrote for that show that got nominated, which was another very cool thing.
And there was another project I found on IMDb that you got to work on, which really surprised me, because I hadn't seen this film in a long time. It's not Disney, but it's still a really interesting film. It's Balto 2, Wolf Quest, and they have very different, they have really different songs in it. And there's a song on there called "Who You Really Are," and you're one of the vocals on a couple of these songs, especially this one, and I just adore it. So what was it like working on that project?
Well, that happened because when I first moved to LA, I got to meet Amanda McBroom, who is a beautiful singer-songwriter, and she wrote The Rose that Bette Midler made so famous. And this was a project that she wrote the songs with another friend of mine, Michelle Browerman, who's her accompanist, and another fabulous singer-songwriter as well. So they're the ones who invited me to come and sing on this project with them.
It's really amazing how it comes full circle, and you've been working on so many things since, the American Adventure and since Stitch. So would you like to talk about some of your latest projects, and if you have a website, you can go ahead and let our listeners know, because I know they're going to definitely want to see if they can, buy an album or a song off of iTunes from one of your albums.
Yeah, no, unfortunately I'm terrible, but I do not have a website, but I need to get one put together, but I don't have one. But no, I just wanted to tell you quickly that one of a cool thing that I did after I had done the American Adventure thing was when Disney did their first sort of bigger animation. They came back to do a big animation thing after sort of many years of not really putting out any animated films. Was Streets of Gold from Oliver and Company in 1988, and I got to do the voice of the Afghan hound Rita, and sing the song that by one of my favorite artists was the Pointer Sisters, and Ruth Pointer does a song in that movie called Streets of Gold, and I got to sing that song, but in Spanish, in the Spanish version of it. And as well on like The Little Mermaid, I sang on a bunch of, just with a group of other Spanish friend singers. We did all the backgrounds on Kiss the Girl and Under the Sea, and We Are the Daughters of Triton. We sang on all that stuff, all in Spanish.
I simply love your voice, Allie. I think it's gorgeous. And before I get into my last couple questions, would it be all right? I don't want to feel like I'm putting you on the spot, but could you sing a little bit of Two Brothers for our audience?
Okay, let's see. No guitar, a cappella, I guess. Two brothers on their way. Two brothers on their way, two brothers on their way, one wore blue and one wore gray.
It's so beautiful. No, I was getting chills and tingles while I heard you singing it. So I always do. Every time we've seen that scene, it's It's one of my favorites. Thank you so much for doing that. You made a Disney fan happy, and everybody else who's going to listen to this is going to be so excited.
Thank you.
And now our final 3 Disney themed questions. I call them the Fab Three, and I ask them to every guest who comes on the show. So we'll start with the Donald one, which is, as a child, what Disney film was one of your favorites to see in the movie theater?
I would probably say Bambi. There's several, but Bambi, and Dumbo, both of those I recall really vividly.
And our goofy question, what Disney character do you think would be your best friend if you met them in person?
I think I'd say Thumper. I think he'd be a great friend.
And our Mickey question, if I asked you to name any Disney song at this very moment, what immediately comes to mind?
Well, I'd say Beauty and the Beast, because I just went to see the movie, and it's beautiful.
Thank you so much, Allie, for coming on the show. This was really a treat, and congratulations on the 35th anniversary of the American Adventure. Here's to another 35 years.
Oh, thank you so much, Tammy. I really appreciate that.
Everybody sing. Yeah. Welcome cousins, you come on by. Aloha e Komo Mai. Na 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 na. No malihini ohana. Welcome cousins, you come on by. Aloha e Komo Mai. Aloha e Komo Mai.
Don't think of the folks behind, all on a beautiful morning. All on a beautiful morning.